Isaiah Collier is a tank.
Said it, I'm golden. Told you I'm shining. Had to break through. Plan perfect timing. Giving no.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to my 5-part series where I'm ranking the top 5 draft picks that the Miami Heat should target at number 15 in the NBA draft this year. Make sure to like the video and subscribe because I'm on the grind to 5K subs before the start of next basketball season, and I greatly appreciate it. Dude, you're wasting your time. We're trading the pick for Spider. Oh, don't get your hopes up. Remember what happened with Dame? Dude, both of y'all got to get out of here. These people got a video to watch. So we're here at number 1 on my draft wish list for the Miami Heat. We have Isaiah Collier out of USC. I told you to subscribe. Hit the button. It's free. All the other parts, I'll be giving you guys a little bit of a draft, like scouting report in case you're unfamiliar with his game, and we'll talk about his fit with the Miami Heat along the way. I think a lot of you guys may be familiar because at least at the mock drafts that I've looked at, this has been the most common name that I've seen going to the Heat at 15. Now, I looked at a few websites, NBADraft.net, USA Today, Bleacher Report, The Ringer, led by that bum Bill Simmons, and CBS, and they had him at number 16, number 17, number 15, number 19, and number 10. Obviously, there's some variance there like the rest of these prospects because there is no set order in this draft. I am concerned, though. CBS did have him going as high as 10. I did see some other smaller mocks with the same thing, so there's potential that he'll be gone by then, but if he's gone, then we'll get Jared McCain or Tristan Da Silva. Well, let me not spoil the rest of the list in case you guys didn't see those videos yet. You could go check it out. But in his one season at USC playing behind Bronny James, he was leading that team with Bronny James doing his thing. Y'all know I want Bronny James in the second round. What if they take USC guys both picks? That'll be interesting. Maybe not great because USC kind of sucked this year. But anyways, in his 1 year at USC, Isaiah Collier played 30 minutes a night, averaged 16-4, shot 49% from the field. Great efficiency for a guard. You love to see it. But only 34% from 3, which isn't great. Did get 6 free throw attempts, which I love. The Heat have too many guards that can't get to the free throw line. So drafting one that could get 6 a night, that's pretty positive to me. And he did have some player comps of Jeff Teague, who I think I would like on this Heat team. Jeff Teague is hilarious in all these podcasts and stuff he does, but you can tell he's not a Heat culture guy because he's been, obvious as day, clear as day, saying that a lot of times he didn't care about winning in certain aspects and scenarios. So if he's like Jeff Teague mentally like that, maybe I wouldn't want it on the Heat. But if his game is similar to Jeff Teague, which I kind of think it is, that's something that would be nice in the Heat. I also saw Eric Bledsoe, which in today's NBA isn't great, but prime Eric Bledsoe was a decent player. So if this guy can get a little bit of a better jump shot with Eric Bledsoe's tangibles, that would be a pretty nice player. And I also saw guys like Emmanuel Mudiay and then Tyrese Evans and Colin Sexton. Those 2 names I love a lot. If you put a prime Tyrese Evans on, or Tyreek Evans, excuse me, I think I said Tyrese. If you put a prime Tyreek Evans on this team, well, a prime Tyreek Evans was literally his rookie year, which is kind of crazy. But he did deal with some injuries. There was a little bit of a resurgence later, but that's besides the point. This was a guy that was averaging 20 points per game, get you 6 assists, 6 rebounds, a low 30% three-point shooter, but he was a bucket. And he could facilitate, play defense, a true point guard and scorer, which are 2 things I think the Heat desperately need. And obviously, I love Colin Sexton. That boy's a dog, but he's a pretty decent shooter nowadays. So maybe Isaiah Collier has that potential, and I'll take it. He's just not quite there yet. But he is 19 years old. He does turn 20 in October, so right before the season starts. So there's obviously a ton of room for potential. I know I've said a lot in this series that I tend to lean towards the older prospects because the Heat are trying to win now, right? If they don't get Donovan Mitchell or Trae Young, or maybe if they don't get those guys, I don't know what else they can get. Gordon Hayward on a minimum. He said he was unhappy with his role in OKC. He sounds like he's a guy that wants to contribute. So does that mean he wants to get paid too? I don't know. Point is, if there's not a lot of other major moves out there with regards to free agency or trades, the best way to improve this roster is through the draft. And for a team that I want to compete next year, I want to compete in the Jimmy Butler window, you want a guy that can compete now. And I think Isaiah Collier is the best of both worlds there because he's super young with a ton of potential. And I think he's good enough to be a legit rotation player right now as well. At the combine, he measured 6'2.5", which is a bit concerning because at USC he was listed as 6'5", 210 pounds. So he definitely measured in several inches below his listed, measurables. But with the combine, almost all guys do. I mean, they measure you without shoes. So I'm not super concerned about that drop off because although he is listed at 6'2", the combine did measure his wingspan at almost 6'5". So he does have a bit of a positive wingspan there, unlike Tyler Hero, which was one of the concerns about him. But I don't think it affected Tyler too much, right? I mean, a guy scoring over 20 points per game. In the last video, I compared Tyler to Jared McCain a lot. Somehow I ended up being pretty negative towards Tyler. So I'll be more positive in this video about him. But he's also a little bit skinnier than 210. He came in at 204. So, but Isaiah Collier is big. He's a tank. That's how I started the video. And that is really his best asset is that he's such a skilled player while being just an absolute unit. He's absolutely unstoppable downhill. He can get into the paint at will, and he knows how to use his body. I heard someone say, it was someone in the basement, I forget if it was Kendall or someone, but he said that Isaiah Collier is basically Tyrese Maxey if he grew up playing football. And that's what made me say, damn, I like the idea of that. Let me look into this kid a little bit more. And I love what I see because a guy that can get into the paint at will, that's something that he'd have needed for years. All these years watching Kyle Lowry be too slow to blow past defenders, can't get no drives and kicks, stagnates the offense. Now, Terry Rozier is able to do that. Don't get me wrong. Terry Rozier is very good at that. But he's only really one guy that does that consistently. Obviously, Jimmy can and Bam picks his spots, but I'm talking about a guard that's the name of his game. Because not only does getting into the rim mean you get easy shots and easy layups, but it also initiates the drive and kick game for guys like Tyler Hero on the perimeter, Duncan Robinson outside, Hayward Highsmith, who's been an improving catch and shooter if they do re-sign him. Shoot, maybe even by the time next year Bam Adebayo has truly extended his three-point range to the outside. Can you imagine having a guy like Bam out there and Jovic out there? Jaime Jaquez, he said that's what he wants to work on in his game. So the fact that he can get into the paint really, really has me excited. And he is such a skilled finisher. It's not all physicality. He'll use his body. But he also has such a level of finesse that makes him so tough to guard. That's what I'm saying about him being so skilled. Earlier we talked about, in part, he was number 4 on my list. We talked about Khalil Ware. Excellent player, potential through the roof, but has a lot of things he needs to work on to be like a real, 30-minute-a-night rotation player. And 30-minute a night is kind of like a starter, but you get what I'm saying. Isaiah Collier has enough skill to play 30 minutes a night right now. Now, at the point guard position, it's a little bit tougher, so I don't want to make that assumption. I think if he was to come to the Heat, I feel more comfortable saying he'd play around, 20 minutes a night. But he is a guy that will be a legit rotation player immediately. And obviously, like any other point guard coming in as a rookie, he'll need a couple years to develop still. So I'm not saying he's the perfect win-now player. That would be Tristan Da Silva. That's why I put him in part 3 of this series. But he is a guy that I do think is the best of both worlds, and the potential is through the roof. It's hard to not take a guy who I think can contribute now, but also has potential through the roof. And the ways he can contribute now are obviously ways that they need now. He's very good at pushing the pace, but can also change pace. That's a skill set that's very difficult for young guards. A lot of these young, fast guards that like to go downhill are out of control. They're wild. That's what we read about Devin Carter. But Isaiah Collier can change speeds, and that makes it so difficult for NBA defenses to guard you. And that'll make Isaiah Collier be able to get to his spots. I know he's not a great three-point shooter, but this will allow him to get there and set up. And then once he works with those Heat, shooting coaches and development staff to get his shot, he will be able to get it off in the NBA. Because being an improving shooter and getting your shot off are two different things. This is a guy that can get his shot off. Catch and shoots, step backs, he's very capable of doing it. And we've seen guys, I mentioned it in an earlier video, Josh Richardson. His first half of his rookie season, he could not shoot the ball, but he worked with the Heat shooting coach. I remember they told Jay Rich, they said, all you got to do, position, your foot is like this. It has to be positions like this, straight, pointing at the rim. Once Jay Rich fixed that, he was like a 40% three-point shooter the rest of that season. And he's been a pretty good shooter since then. So I can't wait for Isaiah Collier, if he was to come here, to put in some work with the shooting coaches. And when he gets that down, he is going to be absolutely unstoppable. I mean, not like he's terrible at it now. I said he took, what was it, 3 threes a game, 34%. He's capable, just not as high as you would like to see from him. But again, as a facilitator, this is something he can do very well. This is where Devin Carter lacked. This is where Jared McCain lacked, at least because of his role. But Isaiah Collier did have the role, and he performed very well. Driving kicks, finding guys back door, he can do it all. And that is why I know that he can be an actual point guard in the league one day. Not like Jared McCain, who may be more off ball. Obviously, the same with Devin Carter. He can play the point. And for the Miami Heat, there's questions about if they have a point guard. Is Terry Rozier a 2? Is Tyler Hero a 2? We've heard a lot of that. Now, I think Terry's a great facilitator, so I do think he can play the 1, but maybe you can play him next to Collier. Start, if Collier can grow some more, maybe he can actually get closer to 6'5", like he was listed at. Now you got a 6'5" guard. You got Scary Terry, who's closer to 6'3", 6'4", and I think that could be a potential starting duo in this league, and still have Tyler come off the bench for Cleveland, and we got Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. Obviously, all of this stuff could change, because if the Heat do get Donovan Mitchell, then I guess they'd probably trade this pick too. But even if they don't get Donovan, they can get some other pieces in, change the whole roster. So it is difficult to exactly say what these guys' fit could be. But Isaiah Collier is a talented player who could probably play on any team. He did have 3 turnovers a game, so I know I said he wasn't out of control, but with the passing, sometimes he did try to force it too much, and maybe that's because he's a capable passer. He tried to do a little too much, but that is like the most common thing for a young point guard. I think he'll pretty easily learn that. Plus, he had a high usage rate, so 3 turnovers for a high usage rate isn't that terrible, but it's not something that was overly concerning that I don't think he can get better at. He was 28% shooting from 3 off the dribble, but 37% off catch and shoots. So when you look at it like that, maybe in the Heat system, they obviously have some other guys like Jimmy and Bam and Tyler and Terry that can handle the ball. So if Isaiah Collier has to play off the ball, those 37% efficiency from catch and shoot from 3, it's pretty good numbers, actually. So that is something that is very promising there. The form is sometimes inconsistent. Sometimes it looks great follow through. Other times it doesn't look fluid. Looks like one of those 1-2 shots. You're not supposed to have a 2-motion shot, but it's close enough that I think it's something that could be fixed pretty easily with a year or 2 of development. So now we're talking he's capable shooter now, but 2 years from now he is lethal. So that is something that's pretty positive. Not a super athlete, only 6 dunks on the season, but doesn't matter. I don't need him dunking if he's bodying people, getting to the rim, and finishing with finesse or driving through them. I don't need the guy to dunk. Not known for his defense. I saw a couple questions about his motor, but he has the tools. He had such a high usage rate at USC. Not trying to make excuses, but that team sucked. They were looking at him to score. They were looking at him to facilitate. Everyone wanted Bronny James to show out. Like, put Isaiah Collier with that body and that speed in this Heat system, and I really think he'll be a phenomenal on-ball defender. He can already play the passing lanes a little bit too. I think he averaged like a little over a steal a game, so a lot of that wasn't the passing lanes, which, hey, we see the Heat do that, right? In the playing game with Jimmy Butler, we've seen Caleb Martin do that a lot. A few years ago, Gabe Vincent, Victor Oladipo back in the day. You obviously lost those guys, so I think Isaiah Collier would be a nice replacement, defensively, if he can continue to improve that, and he has the tools. So I think that's what's most important. But that's really all I got to say for this video. Kind of talked a lot about how I think he would fit here. So let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure this time a lot of people would agree with me. He's such an excellent scorer at a position of need and does things that the Heat can't do. I typically don't like to draft guards that have a questionable shot, because I remember the days of Justice Winslow, even Jaime Jaquez now to a lesser extent. It's frustrating when you get these guys that you always have to wonder, oh, is he going to hit the open 3? Is he going to get better at this one day? Is he going to brick terribly or airball? It's frustrating as a fan. But I don't think Isaiah Collier is that bad. I don't think he was Justice Winslow rookie bad. And Justice Winslow eventually did get substantially better from 3, at least for that one season. And then he kind of fell off a bit. But anyways, let me know what y'all think about Isaiah Collier. That is the final part to this video. I do have a miracle pick that I highly doubt will fall to Miami, but it's possible. He's currently slotted around 10. So in the future, I might make a video about that. But make sure y'all like this video and subscribe so you don't miss that. We're on the grind to 5K subs by the start of the season, and I can't do it without y'all. So I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need that head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.